What could cause the studio to go from over 23,000 players to zero in a couple of months? To take a studio from widely beloved to ridiculed and hated? To drive nearly 400,000 people into a madness that spread to thousands more? This is the tragedy of Titanfall. Hi, I'm Nick, and we begin our story in 2007 when the studio Infinity Ward released COD 4 Modern Warfare to great success. The studio founders, Jason West and Vince Zampella, leveraged the success to negotiate with Activision for more creative control over the Modern Warfare franchise, and more importantly, large bonuses. Activision agreed to these terms under the conditions that if the two were ever fired, the rights would return to Activision. This seemed fair, but West and Zampella quickly discovered the clause was more than just a precaution. Activision did everything they could to fire the Infinity Ward founders, who themselves were desperately fighting to make Infinity Ward independent from Activision. All of this boiled over in March of 2010, only a few months after the release of Modern Warfare 2, another huge success, when Activision successfully fired both West and Zampella. After some legal battling, the two men, as well as some other devs from Infinity Ward, splintered off to form their own company, and on April 12th of 2010, Respawn Entertainment was founded. And come March 11th of 2014, they released their first game, Titanfall. Titanfall is a sci-fi movement-based shooter set in the distant future. The game quickly established its signature with its advanced movement unlike any shooter on the market, as well as its mech-based combat. The game was met with significant hype. People believed it would be the main selling point for the Xbox One, that it would be the next big multiplayer hit. And it had a lot going for it. Its movement system added a layer of verticality that completely shook the formula that had been established by COD and other FPS titans. To add to its uniqueness, the game featured a campaign that was experienced through the online multiplayer. All of this contributed to the game's high expectations, and when it released, it was met with moderate success. While the game certainly had its strengths, it was generally considered a disappointment when contrasted against the expectations that had been set for it. But still, thanks to its unique gameplay, Titanfall was able to build a cult following that excitedly waited for the next game. Fast forward to 2016, and the fans got exactly what they'd hoped for. Titanfall 2 was announced, with huge improvements that had them excited for what was to come. There was just one tiny, itsy-bitsy problem. The chosen release date for the game was October 28th. Exactly 1 week after the greatly hyped Battlefield 1, and exactly 1 week before the release of COD's equally if not more than hyped up Infinite Warfare. And believe it or not, releasing a small following FPS game in between the two biggest FPS franchises in the world didn't go very well. No, the game still had a lot going for it, bringing improvements to pretty much all aspects of the first entry. First of all, they shifted from the customizable class-based Titans of the first game to a set of preset Titans not dissimilar to a hero-based shooter like Overwatch. Of course, they also included additions such as new weapons and pilot abilities, but one of the biggest changes was the campaign. While Titanfall 1's multiplayer campaign was a unique concept, the execution left much to be desired, and it became a core criticism of the game back in an era where FPS campaigns were actually valued. So when it came time for a sequel, they decided to go back to the basics with a true single-player campaign. And boy, did they nail it. Titanfall 2's campaign, in short, is one of the best campaigns a shooter game has ever had. From the story, to the characters, to the level design, all of it was incredible. Seriously, if you haven't played it, then you absolutely should. The game is pretty much always on sale, so you should be able to get it cheap. Go play it. To get back on topic, the last area of improvement in the sequel was the best, the gameplay. This game, to this day, has the best controls of any shooter, if not any game I've ever played. I can't think of a single example of a game with smoother movement. So with all this high praise, how did the game perform? Well, not great. Now don't get me wrong, the game still found some moderate success, reaching a peak player count north of 23,000 and receiving frequent updates throughout the first year or so of its release. But it was far less than what it deserved. And more importantly, what Respawn had hoped. After the lackluster performance of their second major release, Respawn found themselves collapsing. And with nowhere else to turn, they were acquired by EA, the same company that had published both Titanfall games. And what did that mean for Titanfall? Well, it wasn't good. Support for the game quickly dwindled and talks of a third entry in the franchise became whispers and dreams. But hope is not entirely lost, as in February of 2019 we got Apex Legends, a hero-based shooter capitalizing on the boom of battle royales that was set in the Titanfall universe. While it may not have been a proper sequel, the spin-off found massive success that offered a huge boost to the IP's value, giving hope that it would encourage a true Titanfall 3. But hope is all that it would offer, as the fanbase soon discovered it wasn't just an innocent spin-off, but rather a recycling of assets meant to be used in the third entry. And to rub salt into the wound of a loyal yet dying community, mass DDoS attacks began to spread throughout Titanfall 2, leaving the thousands of remaining players practically unable to play the game. Not only that, but even its predecessor was taken down by these attacks. For whatever reason, what started as a vindictive assault by a single hacker became a trend wreaking havoc across the ill-supported game. And even worse, Respawn completely ignored it. Not a single patch, not an update, nothing. They left Titanfall abandoned, and the community was shattered. In desperation, the fanbase cried out, and when they weren't heard, they formed a group, echoing the sentiment "Save Titanfall" through every corner of the internet their voices could reach. And still, nothing. And this is how it remained for 2 years. When suddenly, in late 2023, the game was given a silent update. When the servers were back, the game was playable once again, and the player count skyrocketed to nearly 10,000 players in an instant. Fans rejoiced. And yet there came whispers, faint at first, crawling up from the depths that had lied dormant for years, and these whispers were amplified when a proper official update came out for the game, adding a new limited time game mode. A reference to the movie 300, the game mode with 3 health bars, a third Seagal movie, 3 question marks, the game mode ending at 300 points. 3. The message was clear. The fanbase was preparing for a new game, one that never came. As of 2024, there has been no word of a new entry in the franchise, much to the fanbase's dismay, and, as of now, that is the tragedy, redemption, and swift disappointment of Titanfall. Bye.